brought to you by Accenture Extended Reality. This is Field of View.
Tell us a little bit about the idea behind Mojo Vision. How did you come up with this idea of fitting so much technology and such a complex device like computer vision and augmented reality devices into a contact lens?
Well, I've been a high-tech, deep-tech engineer for many years now, an entrepreneur. And as Daniel mentioned, I've started several companies in the deep tech space like Invention. And it's all been about, nanotechnology and, making things really, really small and incredibly powerful and fast and high performance, deep semiconductor technology. And while I was developing my last company, I also developed cataracts in my eyes. And I had cataract surgery and these things called intraocular lenses put in my eyes. It's the most common surgery on the planet. Most people, when they get into their 60s, 70s, maybe older, sometimes younger. I was much younger, and there's a genetic component to that. And they put these small plastic devices that replace your normal crystalline lens. The crystalline lens is what allows your eyes to autofocus basically and focus on things that are near or far. And these intraocular lenses don't have that ability to autofocus like that. I got a pair that allowed me two different focuses, a near and a far, but nothing in between. And even though it was a 10-minute operation, I woke up and from the operation, I could see again. My eyesight was failing with the cataracts before that. And 10 minutes later, coming out of the operating room, I could see crystal clear near and far, but I quickly started to notice that I couldn't see at intermediate distances. And I thought to myself, why on earth isn't there bionic eye technology at this point? At that point, it was 2012. And I thought, when I was a child in the 1970s and my favorite TV show was The $6 Million Man, Steve Austin was the bionic man, and he had these incredible vision with his bionic eyes. And I thought, why doesn't that exist today? I thought someday I'm going to go invent that technology and my next company. So when I got around to the point of wanting to start a new company, it was the natural thing to go investigate and get started.
Wow. Sorry, go on, Daniel.
No, I was just going to say, Nick, you continue, but definitely that's really interesting to hear that origin of how that, that thought process went into this tech. And I think, most people would just, sit there and deal with it and think that's it. But I guess you've gone off and think, no, I'm going to do something about this.
I've started a number of companies, as you noted, and each one has changed the world in some way. And that's been my goal, to change the world, improve humanity. And this, I think, will be my greatest contribution to society and humanity once we get this technology working and shipping.
Augmented reality contact lenses seems something coming from sci-fi movies, a little bit of a Minority Report feeling. But you told us that you built and created so many companies that changed the world in some way. Would you like to take us through the journey of your entrepreneurship and all the companies that you build that are changing the world right now?
Not just companies, but technologies. So when I was at Carnegie Mellon University in the 1980s, working on my engineering degrees, I was in the right place at the right time and managed to become one of the founders of the internet, basically one of the early innovators that developed the internet technology that we use every day. And at that point in time, we needed the first way to dial up into the internet. So I created a technology called the point-to-point protocol, PPP. And that, of course, went on to be one of the foundational pieces of the internet. In about 1987 or so, I started my first company as an entrepreneur, and it was one of, if not the first, Ethernet switch company. I didn't know quite what I was doing as an entrepreneur. I knew what I was doing as a technologist, but I didn't succeed at that one. Later in the mid-90s, I joined some colleagues of mine that had spun out of Carnegie Mellon, and we did create a switching company called Four Systems that I joined in 93. We took it public in 94, and by 95, it was the backbone of the internet for all long-haul communication and the backbone switching layer, and remained that way for the latter half of the 90s. Then in 97, I started working on what became Lightera and ended up being acquired by Ciena, as Daniel noted. And that technology, optical switching technology that the company I co-founded created, and went on to become the backbone of the worldwide telecom network pretty much, and sold billions and billions of dollars of that equipment. Coming out of that, I co-founded to Infinera in late 2000 based on the experience I'd had, everything passed. And Infinera went on to develop photonic integrated circuit technology, incredible deep tech semiconductors that integrate optics like lasers and detectors and modulators and optical combiners and switches and things, all into small little chips. And all the ASICs and all the systems and all the software and network operating systems, all based around that. And Infinera, by 2004, when we shipped, was the leading product in the optical transport wavelength division multiplexing space, WDM as it's called. And that allowed us to go public in 2007. Coming out of that, I started one more company, Gainspeed, as Daniel noted, that was acquired by Nokia at the end. But we reinvented the cable network. The cable networking companies like Comcast and Charter and Cox and Cablevision all wanted a better switching system than they were getting from Cisco and other people. And so I reinvented that network architecture and started the company to do that, along with some colleagues and co-founders. And today that product has shipped around the world and is serving internet to a lot of people's businesses and homes. So It was natural for me when I had this idea for Bionic Vision to co-found a company again that would develop incredible componentry that would be enabling for this incredible science fiction formerly, and turn it into science fact. And today we have turned it into science fact. I've worn several generations of lenses on my eye that have given me augmented reality. So have a number of my colleagues and even some outside optometrists at this point. And we're really looking forward to bringing this technology to the world, because what it can do is just going to be phenomenal.
So Drew, just for a moment, I want to step back from the augmented reality side of things, and I just want to get in for our listeners and our viewers, get into the mind of what a serial entrepreneur kind of looks like. Because I guess there's also this temptation, right? When you set up a company, it's successful and it's making revenue, and but what's that mindset like? I guess for you to have to to set up a company and then I guess move on to the next big thing, and then again move on to the next big thing. I mean, how does that work in your mind?
Well, each time it's been a little bit different, and it's things going on in business, is things going on personally and family and everything else. But in one case, it was quite easy to leave the company because we sold the company. In another case, it had gone public and I stayed several more years, but I was getting itchy to do something new project, and had ideas, and Infinera couldn't go where I wanted to go. So it made sense for me to go independently and start it. So I as a person, I get itchy after a little while and want to do something new and fun and really break new ground on a constant basis.
And what I mean, to anyone out there that is perhaps in the middle of setting up their organization and kind of doing all these things, what are some of the key learnings that you've learned along that way from the beginning to where you are now?
One of the big things is that I try not to have any self-imposed limitations and think big. And I think that the best thing to do is identify a big problem, figure out what technology is around or could be around that could solve that problem. And if it's a big market, you're likely, if you can succeed at the technology and build the business, you could be very successful. So I just like to think big and not be constrained in how big I can think.
Did you know you can catch this full episode of Field of View and more by subscribing on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts to not miss another immersive technology moment? Subscribe today.